Hello everyone. I'm back, and as you may have gathered by the title of this video, this is a rather different one compared to some of the other ones. As on Tuesday of this week, I went to Wimbledon, and I thought, well, why not share with you guys what it's like going to Wimbledon? So, first of all, um, we had to get to Wimbledon. Um, and we got there by train, and then we arrived at Wimbledon Station. And almost as soon as we arrived, there were sort of adverts and posters and things the um for the tournament for the championships at Wimbledon. Um, and then we got there, um, and yeah, it was really cool. There were these Evian water dispenser things, which looked pretty cool. And um, you had to buy sort of special reusable Evian bottles. They were £5, which wasn't too bad. Obviously, if you do things with certain companies, like if you have an Amex card, you can do lots of different things. Like there was this Amex experience place. I didn't actually go in there because it was rammed. Um, but that looked pretty interesting. Though I did get an Amex radio and also a Wimbledon program, and there were these sort of Rolex clocks dotted about the place. Um, they looked pretty cool. Um, and then I also managed to grab a snap of one of the drones that sort of captures sort of flyover shots. There are lots of sort of little courts dotted around. Um, there's some footage playing now of that, of one of sort of some tennis being played on one of those courts. And then, yeah, had a bit of a look around, and then went into the card member lounge, um, which was pretty cool. Um, Looked really nice in there, and it was extremely hot, so the aircon in there was very, very much appreciated. And they also had this screen that was showing all the stuff going on all of the courts. Um, so that was cool, and you could see like a hell of a lot from the balcony there. Um, and so yeah, but we'd got tickets in the ballot for um for court one. And um it was pretty funny to see that the sort of gangway or staircase up to where um the seats were um for the tickets was gangway 13. So that was that was pretty nice. And then yeah, we got there, and the match we got to watch was Yannick Sinner versus Jan-Lennard Struff. Um, and that was actually a pretty good match. Very entertaining. And despite it being the world number one versus the world number 74, it wasn't an easy match for Yannick Sinner, you know, um, which which was brilliant because it meant that we got to see Yannick Sinner playing his his A game. Um, and he did eventually win the match, but it wasn't made easy for him. Um, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, and eventually after some exploring and things, Um, we eventually left, but not without me spending 28 quid on an umbrella. But you know, it's a really useful compact umbrella that I will use both when it is extremely sunny for shade and when it is extremely rainy, and I'll use it for protection from the rain. Of course, that just happens to be the exact two states of weather that British weather is almost always in, either extremely sunny or extremely rainy, usually extremely rainy. Um, but yeah, and so then we left, and then at the station, I managed to catch the digital a billboard um with a poster with Yannick Sinner, who we had just watched. Um, and then yeah, it was then time to head home. But I mean, Wimbledon was a hell of a lot of fun. There were all sorts of different things there, um, including teeny tiny rackets in the gift shop, which was cool. Um, and one of the things that I didn't know until when I was there was that Vodafone was a partner of Wimbledon, which Um, I mean, it doesn't take many guesses to figure out why that's interesting to me. Though if you can't figure it out, I'll give you the answer. Lewis Hamilton, McLaren, Mercedes, um, or Vodafone, McLaren, Mercedes. And yeah, it was just a really fun day out. Something else that I saw that was quite funny was they had strawberries and cream bucket hats. Um, and yeah, that was quite funny. And speaking of strawberries and cream, we didn't actually go and try it, but it was probably, well, lots of people were saying it's really expensive, which is why we didn't go and try it. Um, but one of the things that was interesting when I looked through the program, if you're a Barclays customer, you get free strawberries and cream. So, lucky you, Barclays customers. Um, Strawberries and cream it's not really my thing anyway, so I didn't mind. Um, but yeah, also something I discovered as I sit here looking at my Evian bottle is that while I'm not so much a fan of water, I don't mind Evian water. My main problem with normal water is it has no taste, but Evian water does. I'm not, I can't really describe what it tastes of, but it tastes of something which is better than most water, which tastes like air. In other words, it doesn't. Um, but yeah, um, we also managed to get two radios, which means I have one that's out of the box and one that's in the box, um, which is nice. Also, something that I was thinking about when I was there is, wouldn't it be smart if um if Wimbledon had a sun cream sponsor? As it turns out, they do. I'm probably about to butcher the pronunciation. La Roche-Posay, I think is how you pronounce it. Um, anyway, it's French, I think. So yes, La Roche-Posay. I'm gonna go with that pronunciation. I'm gonna stick with it. If it's wrong, I hold my hands up. But anyway. So they sponsor Wimbledon. That sponsorship began this year, and clearly it wasn't long enough before the beginning of the championships that they were able to do proper stuff with it. Um, but they did hand out free little tiny um like those really teeny tiny bottles or sort of squeezy things of the sun cream every time you bought something from the shop. They just snuck a little sort of bottle of that in the bag. Um, and yeah, so hopefully next year they'll actually have some proper provisions of sunscreen for people there. Because it really was necessary. So yeah, there you go. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed going to Wimbledon. It was my first time, so it was really interesting to see everything that goes on. Um, and I must say, everyone goes on and on about, the tennis players, the big stars, but the real stars of Wimbledon are the people behind the scenes. You know, the ball boys and ball girls and the security and everyone. I mean, having to stand out there in the blazing heat and then having to rush about and having to, the tennis players get star treatment and all of that. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but you know, the the ball boys and ball girls are having to rush about pretty much just as much as they are, but they don't get towels or physios or any of that. Sure, they they swap every so often during a match, but still, and the security having to wear full uniform in the baking sun because a lot of them are members of the military. So they have to wear full military uniform, standing in the baking sun right next to a tennis court. They're not able to watch the tennis, and they have to stand there all day. So they deserve a big mention. And if you ever go to Wimbledon, just remember to say thank you to them because without the job that they do, none of it would be possible. That was my big takeaway from going to Wimbledon, really. Um, but also, you know, it kind of felt like a big tennis themed sort of theme park, but that like within a week or so, it's all going to get taken down. Um, and then next year it's going to be put back up for 2 weeks and then taken down again. I mean, the infrastructure and everything that is necessary for this to happen is incredible. Um, and you have to remember, it's not like, it's not like, for example, F1 tracks or something. Like, I mean, for example, Silverstone is similar, um, in that, it gets used other than the British Grand Prix. But take, for example, Monaco. That it's there, and it all gets taken down, and then it's just public roads. They don't need to really bother with it. Whereas Wimbledon is still a tennis club when it's not the championships at Wimbledon. So yeah, it's pretty impressive that they have all of this stuff for 2 weeks, but it then goes to being just another tennis club. I mean, obviously it can't really be just another tennis club because it's the All England Lawn Tennis Club, which is the host of Wimbledon. So there is still that kind of aura around it. But at the end of the day, unless you like live in the nearby area, you don't really go to Wimbledon unless the championships are on. Um, so yeah, everything that goes into it is really impressive. And I mean, no wonder it's one of the big tennis events that all the players want to win. It's I I guess I would liken it to the British Grand Prix in that, even if it's not like your home tournament, sometimes you may want to win it more than your home tournament because you know, it's if you win Wimbledon, you've made it, you know? I mean, even if you reach the final at Wimbledon, you've made it. So yeah. Um. Anyway, I've been rambling on for a bit now, and yeah, if you're ever thinking about going to Wimbledon, entering the ballot, maybe go for it because honestly, it is a hell of an experience going to Wimbledon. Honestly, I can't recommend it highly enough because it is just so cool and it's just so there's just this feeling around it. Um, I mean, obviously tickets are pretty expensive, so if you're thinking about it, I would suggest probably um, you know, try and get yourself in the ballot because otherwise it can be, I wouldn't say prohibitively expensive, but it still is rather expensive, especially when you consider the cost of going there, like going to Wimbledon, let alone with the ticket, then plus the cost of the ticket. And I mean, I wouldn't say things are very expensive there. I mean, because you might think, well, £5 for a bottle of water is quite expensive. But you have to remember that they have the facilities there to make that an everlasting bottle of water, pretty much. So, you know, it's £5 for as much water as you can physically have. Um, so if you put it that way, it's actually pretty cheap. Um, so, especially considering that they're charging you for the cost of the bottle and like probably like a 10-gallon like access to like probably even more than 10 gallons like tank of water somewhere um full of Evian water, which is it's probably on the slightly more expensive side of bottled water, but you know in my personal opinion it's worth it. um but yeah, and I mean 28 quid for an umbrella. I mean, I'm looking at it now. It does not look like a cheap umbrella, although there was a bigger umbrella that was exactly the same price. But, you know, I think they probably just saw it and went, or some people are going to want to have the bigger umbrella because it's bigger, and, but some people are going to want the smaller umbrella because it's, smaller, you can carry it around easier. So probably they're just as useful as each other. So charge the same. Fair enough. Um, Also, it's Wimbledon. They're allowed to have a bit of a premium on things because they are a premium place, really, in regards to tennis. So, I mean, they're literally sponsored by Rolex. Come on. Um, but no, I mean, there was also something about it that felt uniquely British, but in an international way, which sounds like it doesn't make sense. But like what I'm trying to say is it feels uniquely British, but in a way that other people that aren't British don't feel left out. You know, I mean, strawberries and cream, there's literally an area for tea parties and stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like, oh, this is a British institution. It feels very global. It's almost like British people throwing a party for everyone, which, you know, why not? Um, you know, so yeah, that was my experience at Wimbledon. And, if you've been to Wimbledon before and had any experience of it, or even if you've watched it on TV, if you have any good memories of Wimbledon, put them in the comments. I'd love to hear your Wimbledon stories. And yeah. Um, Also, I'm just gonna remind what I said in the last video that I've got a new Discord server. Um, and I'd love it if you came along and joined and said hi. And yeah, I have a few things planned. When I'll get round to them, I'm not entirely sure. But the rest of my summer for a bit looks quite free, so hopefully I'll be able to get some more stuff done. But yeah, hopefully, hopefully my next post won't be too far away. But yeah, see you then, and don't forget to stick around.